ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 मौनेन मनसा मौनेन मज्जन्मनसा स्वमूल चर्चैव सत्यात्मविचारणं स्यात् एषोऽहमेतेन मम स्वरूपम् इति प्रमासत्यविचारणाङ्गम् गवेषणात् प्राप्य हृदन्तरं तत् पतेदहन्ता परिभुग्नशीर्षा अथाहमन्यत् स्फुरति प्रकृष्टम् नाहङ्कृतिस्तत्परमेव पूर्णम् अहङ्कृतिं यो लसति ग्रसित्वा किं तस्य कार्यं परिशिष्टमस्ति किञ्चिद्विजानाति सनात्मनोऽन्यत् तस्य स्थितिं भावयितुं क्षमः कः आहस्फुटं तत्त्वमसीति वेदः तथाप्यसम्प्राप्य परात्मनिष्ठां भूयो विचारो मतिदुर्बलत्वं तत्सर्वदा स्वात्मतया हि भाति. We saw yesterday some of the meanings of the expression bhuyaha vicharaha, means the repeated enquiry, and we saw all kinds of meanings of the word. What does it mean to have this repeated enquiry? One more meaning we can see now today is that the addiction to the shastra. So, oh, is there such a thing? Yeah, there is such a thing. Addiction to Shastra. Why? Because the Shastra, there is a projection on the Shastra, a kind of a positive projection. The same kind of projection that one has over an object of love. Starting with a security blankie at age 2. That same kind, it is an object of love. And so the same kind of thing that one has towards an object of love, that is what is here called the addiction to the Shastra. That is exactly how the addiction to the Shastra manifests. There is clinging. Oh, so should I not come to class from Monday? That is not the point. So that's why I saved this till the last, okay? And that is not the point. The point is that there is a kind of a addiction. Kind of an addiction based on what? Based on some feeling that this is going to make me feel better. Where? In time, in place, in a particular way. They say chocolate cake is good for you. Why? Because it helps. What is that called? Something. Serotonin. The uptake of serotonin it helps to have. Some, these are some things serotonin is associated with feeling happy. So you attribute the happiness to the chocolate cake. Chocolate cake is not making you happy. It may be changing some temporarily some brain chemicals to make you access the joy that is already you a little more uninhibitedly. And the same thing goes for any kind of food item that one feels like one cannot live without. So Vedanta also can and often does become an addiction. Now here is a very most important question. How do I know that I am a jignasu, a mumukshu, a person who is a genuine seeker, and that's why I'm studying the Vedanta, and versus somebody who has an addiction? So the very simple it is to see the one who is a genuine mumukshu or a jignasu, mumukshu, seeker of freedom, jignasu, the seeker of knowledge. So the one who has the desire for knowledge, they will use Vedanta as the means and themselves as the end. Otherwise, if there is an addiction, Vedanta becomes the end. And what happens to the moksha? The end. That's what happens to moksha. If Vedanta becomes the end, there is an end to liberation. How can there be liberation? There cannot be any liberation at all. Why? Because simply, this is exactly what is happening. Because in the first instance, I'm using Vedanta as the means to understand myself. Whereas in the second example, in the second instance, I'm using Vedanta as an end in itself. Oh, I have to attend class. Why? Because I'm in a bad mood, and after I attend class, I'm always in a good mood. This may be okay in the beginning, but we are coming to the end of the text. We are in the already in the 30s. We are in the last 10 verses or so, and so this is good in the beginning of the quest. And even as one is maturing, even as one is studying, the study hones itself to one applies the mind to drop more and more the what's its name, the ignorance, the wrong understanding. This is what one does. And so this is how one knows the difference. So what's wrong if I'm addicted to Vedanta? I mean, don't take this also away from me. You have taken movies, you have taken malls away from me, and you have taken movies, and you keep talking about, giving up all other desires. And now giving up, you are asking me to give up Vedanta too. In a way, yes. Because at the end of the journey, I mean, we are not at that stage yet, okay? This is a note to, this is an important footnote. Because this text is it reiterating what is said in the at the end of the 10th chapter, Nataka Deepa, in the Panchadashi. And there also, Panchadashikara, Swami Vidyaranya says, throw away the Upanishads, throw away the books. And then whenever I teach that chapter, I have to remind the audience, note, please note, we are not at this stage yet. Because throw away the books means what? Means it's all internalized. What is Vedanta? It is you. Are you here or not? Yes. And do you know who you are? Yes. Did you know who you were before? No. So then it is accomplished. So if it is accomplished, of what use are the classes? Of what use are the books? So this is a very honest pursuit. It doesn't keep you hooked and keep you coming back all the time. And in every Upanishad, the student does namaskar to the teacher, gets up and goes. That is exactly what we want. We don't, we don't say that this should be like this should be all the time. You have to pursue this, you have to keep on pursuing, keep on pursuing, keep on pursuing. And next life also, then you say, I want you to be my guru in the next life. If you tell the teacher is not planning to have a next life, okay? So you are on your own here. This is not some kind of a pursuit that is all the time, it's not an infinite quest. It's the quest of the infinite. That infinite being you, the quest itself is finite. And so this is wonderful. And so there is no place here. I mean, it's a very honest pursuit in the sense that it doesn't make you, it doesn't call you from the world of desires, of attachments, of various kinds of addictions, and make you end up making you addicted to itself. No, it doesn't do that at all. It's an honest pursuit which you drop, not before its time. You drop it in time. It just you don't even drop it. It automatically by itself gets dropped. When it is time to go, it goes. It gets dropped. When it is time to go, when it is appropriate, it will go. And so there is no volition in this. It simply is it simply is that for the enlightened person, for the jnani, there is no more need to attend classes. That is what is being said. So any person who uses Vedanta as a quick fix, as an addiction, and sometimes, the addiction is to the classes, and sometimes the addiction is to the teacher, and all those subtle addictions. This is because this is not a personality cult. This is a lineage. And so that is what it is. And so until the what's its name, the ignorance is banished, one studies. And how long is that? It could be 12 years, it could be 15 years, it could be, traditionally they say between 12 and 15 years. But it could be, depends on the person. It could be as long as it takes. And maybe somebody is very prepared, and in 9 days you get the knowledge, like Shweta Ketu. He had 9 talks, and then he said, okay, I think I'm done, I got it. And better yet, Nachiketa, he understood when he was just taught once. He said, thank you. Now he told Yama, now that I have come to your place, I don't know how to go back because this is a different loka. Send me back exactly as I was because I'm still small and I want my parents to recognize me. Don't send me in a disembodied state. Thank you very much for the knowledge. So he got it even once. And so it depends on the person. And it depends on the adhikaritvam. Adhikaritvam means the preparedness. Preparedness. So you can't ask a question, when is the right time to get up and go? If you're asking the question, it is not the right time to get up and go. That much is for sure. If that question arises, then it is not the right time to get up and go. But since then why does he say it's the right time? If it is the right time, get up and go. Because his own, whatever he wanted to say in this whole set of verses is coming to a close. So it is his way of wrapping up and saying Vedanta addiction is a real thing. Guru addiction is a real thing. Everything is just, it happens. And so therefore, watch out for these kinds of addictions. And so continue to do this, and then this is what is said. Sarvada swatmat bhuya vicharah mati durbalatvam. Bhuya vicharaha also, one more meaning is that the repeated enquiry into vichara, because one is not confident of oneself. One has no self-confidence. I think I got it, but did I get it? Maybe Atma is not one, maybe it is two. I think I need to listen again because I don't trust myself. That also is called Mati Durbalatvam. Durbalata means, what does it mean? Weakness of the mind. So that is how this verse 34 has to be understood. Now, next one, verse number 35. न वेद्म्यहं मामुत वेद्म्यहं माम् इति प्रवादो मनुजस्य हास्यः दृग्दृश्यभेदात् किमयं द्विधात्मा स्वात्मैकतायां हि धिया न भेदाः न वेद्म्यहं मामुत वेद्म्यहं माम् इति प्रवादो मनुजस्य हास्यः दृग्दृश्यभेदात् किमयं द्विधात्मा स्वात्मैकतायां हि धिया न भेदाः. Here again are two possibilities. Na vedmi aham ma means what? Na vedmi. Vedmi means I know myself. Vedmi, with to know. Na vedmi aham, I do not know aham, I. Na vedmi, do not know what? Me. Aham. Aham does not know aham. I do not know myself. Na vedmi aham mam. One possibility. And what's the other possibility? Uta or vedmi aham mam. I know myself. Iti pravadaha. These kinds of empty prattle, manujasya, of the people, hasyaha. Hasyaha means is laughable indeed. So, this kind of an argument is like childish prattle. What is like childish prattle? I know myself. There's a group of people, one person says, I know myself. I know. I'm enlightened. Give me a medal. Put me on a pedestal. I'm enlightened. Who says? The one who is not enlightened, of course, says that. And I'm enlightened. I have self knowledge. I have self knowledge. I have self knowledge. I know myself. I know myself. I know. And then what? The other one says, I don't know myself. I just keep on studying and nothing happens. I don't know myself. Both of them are equally insane, and according to Ramana Maharshi, have to be immediately institutionalized. Both of them. Both of them are equally mad. This is what is being said over here. Very exciting. But the question is why? So, should I not be saying I'm taking these classes because I don't know myself? Should I not say that? And if I say that, am I crazy? And then if I don't say that, then how will I take the classes? Because my study of Vedanta is incumbent upon my not knowing myself. And not only is it incumbent upon my not knowing myself, it is incumbent about my knowing that I do not know myself. So, it's not just that I'm ignorant, but I am knowledgeable about my ignorance. So that means I'm declaring to myself, I don't know myself, I don't know myself. Where is where is a Zoom guru? Zoomananda. Where is that's new? So where is Zoomananda? I need to meet a Swami Zoomananda in order to remove my self ignorance because I don't know myself. Is this wrong? Because that's how everybody is taking the classes. Somehow there is this understanding that I don't know myself, and that understanding of non knowing is what is bringing me to the Vedanta in the first place. But you see, Maharshi likes to shock. This is how the knowledge comes. This is just shock treatment, Throughout there is shock treatment. And this is how one progresses. Because to anybody asking this question, how else will this pursuit begin? I would say, to them, I would say, listen to yourself, say, I know that I don't know myself. Try to say that 3 times slowly with a straight face, and you will yourself laugh. That's what he's saying. It is laughable because in the same, there are some, this whole sentence is full of contradictions. I don't know myself. Then I'll ask the question. If you say that, I'll ask the question, how do you know that you don't know? Then you will say, I know that I don't know. One question, one contradiction. Second contradiction, the subject is the same as the object. Subject I. Who is the subject of not knowing? The agent of not knowing? Aham, I. And who is the object of not knowing? What is the object of not knowing? I mean, I can say I don't know apple, I don't know orange. That's different because the orange and apple are objects. other than me. But listen to yourself first. Say, I know that I don't know. And then first contradiction number one. And then what is contradiction number two? I don't know myself. Subject and object, non separate from one another. What kind of a sense does this sentence make? And is Ramana Maharshi wrong in calling this childish prattle? Sometimes when children are first learning to talk, they'll refer to themselves in the third person. Baby wants this. Baby doesn't want this, like that. This is exactly how you sound. If you say, this is how one sounds if one says, I know that I don't know myself. Okay, then let's take the other paksha, the other side. What is the other side? I know myself. So here also there is one contradiction. What is that? Subject and object are one and the same. This is just, this is just a useless, this is a useless waste. This is a total waste of one's spiritual energy. And it is also the third reason why it is laughable, other than the contradictions, is because in both the ahankara is very much flying. Flying high ahankara. Oh, even in the enlightened, in the one who says I'm enlightened, it is flying. Yes, surely it is flying. It's like that story that is told that a young Swami who had recently been ordained went to an elderly Swami to take that Swamiji's blessings. And then he said to the elderly Swamiji, you know what, Swamiji, I have left my house. I have left my wife. I have left my children. I have left my bank account. I have left my friends. I have left all my other movable assets. I have left my parents. And the elderly Swami listened very, very carefully and patiently. And after his big list of everything that was left was done, and he said, my dear fellow, when are you going to give up the one that has given up all these things? That is the idea. Give up the giver upper. And if you give up the giver upper, and if you give up the knower of the self, which is the same as the giver upper here, if you give up the knower, if you give up the if you give up means disidentify. And that disidentification is not something that is deliberately done, it is a natural outcome of self knowledge, because there is nothing to identify with other than the I. And the I, according to the Shastra, is never, ever, ever ignorant. It is Satchidananda, the all knowing, self shining I. So, so if it is never ignorant, how can I say I'm ignorant of myself? That's why there are two contradictions in that sentence. I know, I don't know. That is one contradiction. This is what it is. If you know, you either know or you don't know. You can't say both in one sentence. That sounds foolish. That's why I said, it is, if anybody says that, they are fit to be, they are fit to be tied up. And so I know, I don't know. How can you say that? Because what you don't know is overwhelmed by, superseded by, overpowered by the fact that you know it. You know everything. Knowledge becomes evident to the eye. Ignorance of objects become evident to the eye. Everything becomes evident to the eye. And the eye becomes evident to whom? No one. It is self-evident. So the self-evident I alone is. And so therefore, this is something which is so interesting. And so the giving up of the giver upper is important for Advaita, non-duality. Give up the giver upper. Otherwise, what happens? You're stuck with the giver upper. And you're stuck with the one who has identified as ignorant. Come on, study Vedanta and lose the ignorance. No, it's not so bad to be ignorant of the self. I think I want to hold on to it for a little while longer, because moksha is also scary. So I think I at least I know it's the ignorance is a known factor. So let me at least be in it. Little bit of knowledge I can get once in a while. Or after retirement, I will study, said the workaholic who never retired. This is exactly how it is. And so therefore, vedmi, aham vedmi mam, uta na vedmi aham mam, iti pravadaha. This kind of a pravada is vyartha, useless pravada. A totally useless pravada. Pravada means it's kind of prattle, argument, some kind of argumentation. Navedmi aham mam, one side, and then uta or vedmi aham mam. And why is it pravada? It is prattle because in both of them you are reproducing what is called dvaita. You are reproducing duality. The I is different from the me. Is the I different from the me? Not really. So, but when you say I know myself, then either the I is an object of knowledge. Is the I an object of knowledge? You have to say no, it is not an object of knowledge because it is shines as I, which is never an object. So then, can you say the I is the subject, agent of knowledge? Yeah, why can't I say that? Yes, of course, the I is an agent of knowledge. Well, be very careful when you say that, because if I is the agent, then it is not the object. You just now said it's not the object. Yes, it is not the object. But then what's wrong with saying I am the agent of knowledge? Because if you are the knower, then that which is known is excluded from the knower. And if you are the known, then the knower is excluded. In either case, you are reproducing dvaita, duality. Either case. So these two sentences are like landmines. You have to step around them very, very carefully. In declaring your ignorance of the self, you are declaring the all-knowing I. You are manifesting the all-knowing I, which is all knowledge, which is even aware of its own ignorance. This is amazing. So where is the ignorance? Somebody asked. And Adi Shankara in another context replied, he said, in the nature of the asker. So the one who asks, where is the ignorance? That ahankara alone has the ignorance. But again, the ignorance is as though. So this is the problem with saying I am ignorant. In saying I am ignorant, the all-knowing Atma is manifest. The all-knowing Atma, which is even revealing its own ignorance. See how impartial this Atma is. It reveals, it brings everything to light, including its own ignorance about either or the object or the subject. Fantastic it is. So this is the problem with saying I am an object of knowledge. And then even though it looks all right to say I am the subject of knowledge, but still the subject means you're not the object. Object means you're not the subject. And if you are subject and object, what is the means by which you are knowing that you, which is both the subject and object? How are you knowing it? No, I sat in meditation and then it talked to me. Whatever talks is not Atma. Yes. It made a noise. Whatever makes a noise is not Atma. A wonderful smell of incense came into my nostrils. I was inhaling the Atma. that which you can, which is an object of smell, is not the Atma. It's just somebody in the neighborhood doing their morning puja. That's what it is. You know. And then what? I saw the Atma, that which whatever you see is not Atma. And then what? I heard, I tasted the Atma. That was just pakodas or samosas. That was not Atma. And this is so that takes care of the five means of knowledge, the five, the direct ways of knowing. None of them are available to you to know who you are. So what means are you going to how did you know the Atma? What means? Through what means? And the means are outside. If the means are within the Atma, then we have a problem, because then we have to say Atmanam, Atmana, Atma, Janati. The I, the self, knows itself by itself. And this is very funny. So this is again a quandary. What means are you going to use to know yourself? And so therefore, there cannot be, if there is self-knowledge, it has to be without a knower. Oh, without a knower? Where did the knower go? That's exactly what it is. It's magic. It's like the magician. You go to a magic show and the magician shows you a card and then goes like this. Phew, it's gone. It's no longer in the hands. Card is gone. Then where did the card go? And the magician will say, the person in the second row, please look in your pocket. And the card comes out. How did it come? Nobody knows. I think that person, there is two decks of card, and that person must be a plant. That's the only way this trick can work. But this is what it is. It's in a way, it's like, if you say, I know the Atma, there cannot be a knower. There cannot be a knower. Why? Because the knowledge of the Atma knocks off the status of the knower. Very, very important. This is what we are studying in the weekend classes. If you want to subject yourself to more of this, you're welcome to attend tomorrow and day after. This is exactly what we are doing. So this is exactly how it is. Because if there is a knower, then that which is known is through an action. And that which is known is through an action which is separate from the knower. And that which is known is an object that comes to light after deploying a particular kind of means of knowledge. This is all very, very difficult. Because if one knows oneself, then you can never say that with a straight face. I know myself. It is hasya. It is very funny, because there is a subject of kartru karma virodha, subject object contradiction. Because here we are talking of that which is never an object. And then we are talking of that which is swatas siddha. What does swatas siddha means? Self-effulgent, self-evident I. So if it is self-evident, it knows itself without needing a means of knowledge. See, this is where we are headed. If it knows itself without needing a means of knowledge, can you say it knows itself? You cannot say that. Because that knowing is not really an action, even though it's a verb. Knowing is an action only when you deploy a means of knowledge in order to know something. Then it becomes an action. I saw with my own eyes, this tree. I saw with my own eyes the forest. I saw with my own eyes a child playing in the grass. All this you can say. So therefore, when you deploy a means of knowledge, then that means it is other than you, and that deployment itself constitutes action. But none of these three divisions apply to the I, which is actionless, which is all knowledge, and which already knows itself as existent. So, what are you going to do here? So, what means are you going to deploy? You don't need any means. It's just like, if you ask the question, how should I know the I? Then it's like saying, what should I use in order to know that I exist? Then it's like saying, you show the flashlight to show the sun. You use a flashlight to show the sun. The sun is already self effulgent. It does not need another light in order to make it be revealed, because it is never not revealed. It is always revealed. It is always revealing itself, and in the process, it is revealing everything else also. So, this self revealing I, which reveals everything else, does not need a means of knowledge to establish it. And it is neither the agent of knowledge, nor is it a object of knowledge, nor is it a means of knowledge. What is it? It simply is, and that is I. S silent from is. Then you have I. It simply is. There is nothing else there. All that is there is itself. Nothing else is there. And so, this is exactly how we have to look at this. So, we are, na vedmi aham mam, uta vedmi aham mam. It is like, when you try to make this I into an object of knowledge or a subject of knowledge, then it is laughable, because it simply is. Then what about all the objects? All the objects are not outside of the I. As we saw earlier in one of the classes, everything is an extension of the I. So what about the subject? Subject is an epithet that is superimposed upon this I, which is free of being either object or subject. When it is called subject, only in relation to an object, when it is knowing something other than itself, so to speak. But really speaking, there is nothing other than itself. But when it is knowing an object, we can say, okay, I am the subject and I know this apple as an object. It's a very relative statement, mithya statement, a statement belonging to the empirical realm of reality, where there is transaction, where there is as though duality, as though many and varied things exist for the sake of transaction. Here you can say, I know such and such a person, I know my house, I know this apple, I know this pot. Then you, who are you? I am the subject. And what are all these things? Objects. But the same thing if you say, I know myself, then it is laughable for two reasons. Firstly, it is laughable because you have made yourself an object and you're not an object. And for that matter, you're not the subject either. And secondly, even if that were to be true, if you take it in the sense of I know myself as Atma Jnanam, I have self knowledge, then also it is laughable. You know why it is laughable? Because it is very much, if you say I have self knowledge, this is the knowledge that rests without the knower. Self knowledge is not a special knowledge that has to be gained from the Guru or from the Shastra. What the Shastra and the Guru do is dismiss all that doesn't belong. Na iti, na iti, na iti, na iti. So it is a marjanam, a kind of a sweeping. Marjanam means sweeping. A sweeping of all wrong notions, which because of Atma Ajnanam, which have as though gone and collected on the Ahankara. And that's why we have the subjective component of the ahankara, which identifies with all this. So the ahankara has been neglected for so long. The house called the ahankara has been neglected for so long that it has got all kinds of webs, cobwebs, and all these things. And it's looking dusty and dirty, and plus it has not been cleaned in a while. And the ahankara, the ahankara's house, the ahankara is a hoarder. It likes to hoard things because that's how it gets security. It hoards compliments, it hoards notions, it hoards ideologies. It's a hoarder. And so, what do the Shastra and the Guru do? They don't put there. There is no place to put anything because there is no place to enter the house even. And so, first you have to find the occupants. There is so many things there. You don't know where the occupant is. The occupant is under the weight of many notions, and all like help me, save me. And so first, there are, what should I say, just like there is one TV show called Hoarders. Just like that, first the Salvation Army truck, Goodwill truck, and all comes and stands in front of the house. First, the occupants are all identified and they come out of various rooms. And they in this particular show, I almost missed my flight. I was seeing it sitting in the gate of one thing. In the airport. And I didn't know. Later on, somebody told me its name because it had already started, and I was just fascinated. So first, they had to locate the occupants. They could not find the 10-month-old baby anywhere. It was somewhere crawling by itself. And then finally, it could not come out anywhere because there were boxes. These people were pack rats. And then that was identified. The pet cat also they was not found until later. And so then and it turned out that it had jumped out through the window and was living unbeknownst to them in the neighbor's house. It had changed houses because it could not stand their lifestyle, I suppose. And so then first what happens, these people, the expert goes in, and then the trucks are standing there to give for donation. All the things are piled on to these trucks. The house is completely emptied. And then what? Dusted, cleaned, given a coat of paint. And these people are told to go into a hotel and stay there. And it is dusted, cleaned, given a coat of paint. And then after that they are brought back in there again and told you have to keep it just like this. You cannot keep on collecting things and lose your baby in the process. And so this is exactly like that. So the antahkarana, because of the insecurity of the ahankara, has held on hard, fast, and long to all kinds of things that do not belong. And so the guru comes with a duster, and the duster is the Upanishad Vakyas. The Upanishad Vakyas, the sentences of the Upanishad, they just say na iti, na iti, na iti. So the buddhi is given a nice dusting, the antakarana is given a dusting. And all the raga dveshas just leave, depart with the force of this. It's a very loving dusting. And so, because of this cleaning, the force of the cleaning, the raga dveshas cry, mummy, mummy. Raga dvesha means strong prejudices and preferences. They just take cover somewhere. They are just very, they cannot live there anymore. Because raga dveshas, like an antahkarana that is resentful, that has a lot of, chips on the shoulders. But here the duster and the cleaning fluid are just so clean and wonderful. It cannot handle all this. So the Upanishad is the duster, and the Guru is the one wielding the duster. Nicely dusts off everything. And then what? And then there is no special knowledge. There is nothing that is put there or pumped in there. Because when all this debris goes out, like the the people who come to that house after staying for 2 days in the or 3 days in the hotel, they say, "Oh, the house had 3 rooms. I always thought it had 2 rooms." Suddenly they found one more room. Found, okay? It hadn't really gone anywhere. Supposedly they found one more room. It's not finding. It was already there. They had just not seen it. And that's what it is. Oh, Atma is Nitya, one more room. Satya, another room. Ananda, oh, like this. Oh, it's so roomy. It's so accommodative. It's already there. Bhagavan is already sitting there. Poor Bhagavan has also gathered dust. And so all this, so Guru shows Bhagavan to you. Dusts off everything. Dusts off the vision of division. And all that is there is you who is no longer ignorant of the I. But then if you say that, it's not something that can be expressed. It is something that it simply is. Because if you say that, there are so many errors. Because now, is the Guru the Karta, the agent, sorry, not Guru, is the Atma the Karta? Is the Atma the agent of knowledge? No. Is the Atma the recipient, the object of knowledge? No. Then what is every object? Every object is Atma. Atma is not any one object in particular. Every subject is Atma. Atma is not the subject. Subject is Atma. Atma is not the subject. Object is Atma. Atma is not the object. Every means of knowledge is Atma. Atma is not any one of them. It sustains and blesses everything with its sentience and its isness, its presence, without becoming any one particular thing. So it is free of everything, and yet nothing is free of it. Like even the pot and the clay. The pot is not free of clay. Pot is clay. But is clay pot? No. Clay is clay. Pot is clay. Everything is Atma. Atma is Atma. Atma is not, Atma has not become everything else. This is exactly what we have to see. The last frontier of duality is this tripod of differences between the knower and the known and the means of knowing. Jnata, jnanam, jneyam. Pramata, pramanam, and prameyam. Prameya, object of knowledge. Pramata, knower. Pramana, means of knowledge. Same thing. You can say jnata, jnanam, jneyam. Knower, known, and means of knowing. All these things are as it were superimposed upon the I that is free of these statuses totally and completely. Free of the statuses. Very, very important to know this. But how can it be free of the statuses and then the status is not free of it? How is that possible? We generally give the imagery of an ocean. In the ocean, let's say there are 3 waves. Knower wave, known wave, means of knowledge wave. And they're all waving to you. That's why they're called waves. Let's say they're all there. And then what? Then, is the knower wave ocean? Yes. Wave number 1, knower, which shines as the knower. Of course, it is ocean. Wave number 2, object of knowledge. Is that ocean? Yes, that is ocean. Every wave is ocean. Wave number 3, means of knowledge. Is that ocean? Of course, it is ocean. How can it, what an ocean? How can you say it's not the ocean? Of course, it is ocean. And then, so all 3 are nothing but the ocean. What about the ocean? Oh, waves are ocean. Ocean is not the wave. This is exactly how to understand that. So, from the standpoint of upadhi, there is a bheda. Upadhi means a kind of a name and form. There is a difference, knower, known, etc. But these upadhis, these names and forms, these are as it were superimposed upon the I, which is free of being knower, which is free of being known. Do you understand better now why it is foolish to say I know myself or I don't know myself? This is the reason why. Both are fraught with misunderstanding. And so therefore, this is, so therefore the I is free of being the knower. Because even though it knows itself, that knowing here is not an action. That knowing here is non-separate from being. So it's not really an action. Just like when you say the sun shines, although the word shines is a verb, it is not an action on part of the sun to shine. It is the very nature of the sun to shine. Similarly, it is the nature of the Atma to be and to know. So it is a knowing being. And even if it is ignorant of itself, it still knows it exists. That is why it is never unknown. Ahamasmi sadabhami. Ahamasmi sadabhami. Kadachinnahamapriyah. Brahmaivahamatassiddham. Satchidanandalakshanam. Satchidanandalakshanam. That which is the nature of Satchidananda, which is Brahman. Aham asmi, I am that, it is Siddham, it is established. How? Because Aham asmi, I am. Sada bhami, this fact is always there. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. In sleep also, I am, I am, I am. Except it's not broadcast, because the mind that does the broadcasting of the I am is in a causal state. So so therefore it is not there. So I am, I am, I am, I am. It's there all the time. Sada bhami, I always am self-evident. And never am I an object of dislike. The I is never an object of dislike. That's why everything connected to the I one wants to know. Palm is tree. I'm there. Look and see what kind of lines are there on my hand. Astrology, I'm there. And what else? Psychic reading. Yeah, me. Tell me what's going to happen in my future. Tarot cards, I'm there. This is what it is. Everything connected to me, I want to know. Because that there is so much love for the self. And you can't pass a reflecting surface, whether it's a shop front or whether it's a glass door or a mirror, without the steps lingering. And you want to look at yourself, even if you say, I don't like how I look. And even if one is 95 years old, and the face is like a road map full of lines, one will still stop and look at oneself. Look at the face. Why? Because the face is thought to be oneself. The body is thought to be oneself. That much is the love for the self. Asti bhati priyam is a different way of expressing Satchidananda. This is what is intrinsic. These are intrinsic indicators to the I. They indicate the I. And the I they don't define the I even, because the I is not subject to definition. They indicate. That's why they are called lakshana. And in this indication, you understand, because it is already self-evident. They're indicatory terms. Asti bhati priyam. Asti is. Bhati is it's all knowing. And then priyam, it's never an object of dislike. It's always lovable. The self is lovable. And then what about the Jagat? Nama Rupa, name and form, word and meaning, tree, a word that has a meaning, a house, a word that has a meaning which we all universally understand in whichever language it is expressed. Garden, a word that has a meaning. Animals, word that have meanings. And water, lake, ocean, word that has meanings. Sand, word that has meaning. Computer, word that has meaning. Table, chair, food, all this word that have meaning. The whole thing is word and meaning. The word and meaning is just, that is the property. That is what the whole Jagat is. a series of words and meanings strung by the greatest goddess Maya. Maya Shakti is a great mala maker, beautiful mala maker. What does she do? Puts all the different colors together. Oh, purple. Oh, this flower, bird of paradise. Fantastic. Orange and purple and yellow and green and blue and different shades of violet. Everything is here in this mala called the whole universe. And this mala is made, and that is the Jagat. And what is that? Word and meaning. First, she takes the needle and word, and one word, and along with its meaning. Now it's time for word along with the meaning. It's just like, when in India there are weddings. So on the roadside, they make these malas. They alternate yellow flower and orange flower and yellow flower and orange flower, because these are the colors of the marigold. And they use marigold because it lasts for a long time. So no point in using a flower by the time they take it and string it in front of the house. If it starts to wilt, it's no fun. Marigold means it will stay for 2-3 days. So they will take the marigold, and it comes in these two colors, yellow and orange. So they will alternate yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange. Word, meaning, word, meaning, word, meaning. And then you have this whole mala. Mala means a beautiful garland strung with words and meaning. A magic garland that just disappears in the wake of knowledge. What a garland it is. And it disappears in the wake of self-knowledge, because all that is there is you, garland is you, word is you, meaning is you, nothing is separate from you, marigold is you. So the whole Jagat as a separate entity of Jagat means universe. The whole universe that you confront as a separate entity, full of fears, full of uncertainty, full of sorrow, ceases to exist. This is called Jagataha Vismriti Prayah. So for the person of knowledge, this Jagat is as it were forgotten. It doesn't exist as a separate entity. It is just word and meaning. That word and meaning resolve into the I, and the I is irresolute. It doesn't need to resolve. It cannot resolve into anything else. And so all that is there is I alone in the form of words, meanings, whatever it is. And that is how to understand it. And therefore it is foolish to say, I know myself or I know myself. Iti pravadaha manujasya hasya. Next line. Drigdrishya bhedat kim ayam dvidhatma. There should be a question mark there. Drigdrishya bhedat. So is this Atma kim ayam dvidha? Dvidha bhati. Dvidha means is this Atma twofold? When did it become twofold? Which Upanishad is the proof for the Atma to be twofold? Who said it is twofold? And that's what it's a rhetorical question at the end. Who says it is twofold? When did this I become two? I mean, all the Upanishads talk about this. And so, how did this Atma become twofold? Drik, seer, drishya, seen. So, the seer, seen, bheda, difference. So, what is the meaning of seer, seen, difference? Because I know myself, I see myself like this. So, I am the object, I am the subject, seer and the seen. And so, there is a difference between the seer and the seen. Does the eye shine as the seer one minute and as the seen another minute? Impossible. Cannot do that at all. Something is terribly wrong if you think like this. Why? Because swatmaikatayam. Swatmaikata. Swatma ekatayam. Swatma ekatayam. So swatmaikatayam. So it just shines, the eye shines exactly as, you can't even say one, because then one is subject to saying half and 1/4, etc. No, the eye shines exactly how it is. just by itself, as Swatma, as the truth of your own Atma. Swatmaikatayam hi dhyam na bhedaha. Dhyam, in the buddhi, it shines as I, and there are no differences. No seer seen means of seeing, no knower known means of knowing. These are all superficial or as though differences which are projected onto that I, which is nothing but all knowledge, and which is present everywhere, and which is limitlessly whole. That is what it is, and this is exactly how it needs to be known. Next, we'll see next week. I think we should be able to complete it next week, hopefully. You know, maybe we'll see. No, I don't want to rush it, but looks like we might be able to complete it very soon. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ